The Expert Circle. But get really good at teaching people how to treat you.
That reminds me of this.
Want them to come in here and watch this?
Who?
If they'll be quiet, then.
Everybody left.
Oh, they're all gone?
Yeah.
Still sounds like they're talking. All right.
Yeah. So hold on. Let me get.
See, look, you see he's looking at notes. You see this?
Of course I'm looking at notes.
I
gotta get my quotes together. They gotta be.
So just back to back?
Back to back. I'm gonna do a quote. Just give me the thumbs up when we're ready. All right. In this world, we have students, we have individuals that they're so intelligent and so talented. They're just so much more distracted. And one thing that I always say is that distractions destroy more dreams than failure will ever have a chance to. And one thing that I do in my programs, in my curriculums, in my books is I help students, I help leaders, and I help winners learn how to focus.
That's amazing. So one thing that gets in the way of success is, people and what they've been through and not being able to let go of it. And this particular quote that I share quite a bit, and it helps people find their rhythm and communicate the impossible. And that's quite simply, when the dream is big enough, the facts don't count. And that's quite simply, yes, all these things have happened to you. Maybe also they've happened for you to understand what happens next. So when the dream is big enough, the facts don't count.
That's good. I've never heard that before. So now with more awareness, we know, and people are going to therapy, and Black people are going to therapy. Latino people are going to therapy for the first time ever in a generation. And there's this talk about trauma and tragedy. And I'm very sensitive to it. My grandfather passed away when he was 45 due to alcoholism. And one thing that my dad taught me in my grandfather's trauma is to become a champion. We have to learn how to turn trauma into being a champion, because we're all going to have it. Isn't that what therapists say? They say we're all faced with some sort of trauma. So turn trauma into your championship ring. Turn trauma into your triumph.
Okay. I feel like this is like a motivational dad jokes, but it's different. You know what I'm saying? So I remember being in grade school, and everyone was, super cool. Again, you know this about me. I didn't know much about rap music till I was a young adult, pretty much. I just heard actually a song T.I. that I like. I was like, oh man, it's good as fun. I'm like dancing to it. It was in his first album. I just heard it this past weekend. Anyway, so there's a period of time where I wanted my ear pierced big time. And I asked my dad, and my dad he would just ignore me as if I wasn't saying anything. Then the next year came, I was in junior high, and guys were like, they were getting tattoos. I'm like, oh, this is a thing, because then I could be cool if I have the tattoo. I wanted the earring, Dad. I don't want the earring anymore. I just want a tattoo. And he was, getting for work. It was like I'd woken up earlier to catch him before he left. And this is a big deal, because one of those folks that if my parents' room door was closed, I didn't even knock on it. If the house is burning down, that is it. Stranger at the door, maybe. But so he's getting ready for work. He kind of pulls up his he finishes his tie. Walk in the bathroom together. We're looking in the mirror together. He goes, son, do you feel like you're perfect on the inside? It's like, no, not quite. He's like, well, when you feel like you're perfect on the inside, that's when we'll start worrying about changing the outside. Ooh. That was the last moment I ever thought about getting a tattoo or an earring, not because they're bad to get, but on the list of importance, it just paled in comparison to everything else I was trying to be.
Man, that's talking about dads, man. We both had our dads in our lives, very present. One thing that my dad always kind of imparted upon me was the fact that I had to strive for excellence. And the way that he put it is a way that a lot of Black people, a lot of women, a lot of minorities here, you have to be twice as good and twice as fast. You have to be just twice as better than anybody else. And the big thing that I got from that, I remember I was playing AAU, and the coach's son was on the team. And to beat the coach's son out, he wasn't as good as me. He wasn't as good as me. He just wasn't. He was good, but he wasn't as good as me. But to beat him out, I had to dominate in practice and everything. And so it went from you got to be twice as good to you have to dominate. And shortly after that, the movie Remember the Titans came out.
Yes.
And so whenever in my books and everything, dominate where you are, and your destiny is in how you dominate.
Your destiny is how you dominate. That's whew. That's amazing. That's really good. It's something that I think we've both been, I don't want to say frustrated by, and maybe I'll speak to myself, but the transparency is important. At the same time, I had a great childhood. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand. Have you been different things? I tell people I stand on the shoulders of giants. My parents endured so much that I should never have. And I think it's a slight to them to pretend to be something that I'm not. With that being said, I still believe there's some power in how we share our stories and who we share our stories with. And something I've just been saying recently is nothing beats the truth but a good story. And if you're willing to share a good story, maybe it becomes more important than the truth.
That's so good, man. Gosh. Wish I would have thought of it.
I've been trying to keep some of these secrets.
Yeah. Have you ever, there's so many people that we've never met that have had profound influences on our lives. And when you think about whoever the giant is in your industry, and you've talked about singing Zig Ziglar jingles and all that stuff. I got to see Zig live the year before he passed away.
Wow.
And I never got to see Jim Rohn. And I think about the people who we've kind of taken on their persona, so to say.
Yeah.
People that we've learned from. And no other person that I've never met has influenced me more than my grandfather. Never met my grandfather.
Whoa.
I'm Odell Bizzell II, and he died when he was 45. And I never met him, but I can feel him. And one thing that I get from stories is that he would always walk around with a smile and always say, if it can be done, I'm going to do it. If it can be done, I'm going to do it. Now, that wasn't always good because some things that can be done are not good. But from that, I felt like as his namesake, as somebody who is carrying on his name, his legacy, and different things like that, if it can be done, I'm the one to do it. So that's why I say all the time, I help winners win bigger. I help leaders lead better because it's needed in this world where they want us to be small.
It gave me chills, man. Thinking about your granddad. As a young kid, I don't know, one of my least favorite qualities about myself, I think, I'm getting better. You could tell me or not, but I say like passive, very aggressive. Only because, I'm better, but I've become more direct, also, which helps. But I think in part, there are times where I was just angry, but can't really explain why I was angry. Am I holding things in? But ultimately, this kind of led me to, as much as I like to think, and it's quite simply for those who have issues with anger, is to realize that an angry mind cannot think. And it's important to remember that because at times we live in an angry world and art imitates life. But I think now more, life is beginning to imitate art. People are posting things that they've never experienced more and more. and falling into it as if it's them. Did it happen to you? No. So bring up trauma before, the notion of vicarious trauma, which most people don't understand that exists. Like that is leading to so much anger. Hey, what is this elementary school kid showing up to school angry for? You're in elementary school, outside of what might be happening, but like just upset and not knowing why. Or the young person that's in college. So many things are happening that are leading people to be angry. And what makes someone more angry than not knowing why? And it's just a simple reminder of an angry mind cannot think.
That's good, man. When you were talking about your background, it took me to this this quote that I totally made up myself.
Really?
And yeah, I remember, man, I think I was probably meditating. Stop that. We got to start over. Because you know what I'm about to say. The thing I'm about to say is going to be something you heard before. But anyway, so I just think about how when we start, people have disadvantaged backgrounds, or people have vulnerable backgrounds, or whatever it is. But I'm often reminded, and I want Black people specifically to understand this: nobody starts from zero. Nobody starts from zero. No matter if you grew up in a single parent household, if your mother, father was an immigrant from another country, if you're somebody who didn't make a lot of money or hadn't made a lot of money, nobody starts from zero, because just by the virtue of you being here, you have something. And if you're listening to this or you're watching this, you probably have the internet. You have something that you can use. And having the mindset that I create my reality, where did I start? Use that. So if you're somebody listening, you're like, Odell, you didn't grow up like I did. I probably didn't. But you could use that as a story to get ahead of me. Or I didn't have any money. You got some credit. You got somebody that got some credit. You ask enough people, you're going to get what you want. But nobody starts from zero. That sounds like it should be a book or something.
It definitely should, right along with pay for your friends.
Pay for your friends. Talk about that.
Pay for, really, like, no one starts from zero. I don't know if there's pay for your friends should be a chapter of the book, but every relationship I have that matters, I believe every relationship that most people have that matters outside of the people that could raise them came from some kind of investment. And you often say, I'm stealing a quote now in front of your face, but we pay for where we're at. And so it's like, if you aren't where you want to be, what have you paid for? What have you invested in? Who have you paid to be around? Like, people often, they make quotes and don't give them context. Oh, you're a product of the 5 people you hang around most. No, but really, who are you paying to hang around? When you do have some extra, when you don't have the extra and you get it from somewhere else anyway. But whether it be my wife, my best friends, I've paid to be around everybody that matters in my life at a high level, gym memberships, everyone I've been around, everyone that matters in my life outside of my immediate family, I have paid to be around. Paying for your friends will unlock the key to success. It's not even the quote I was going to share, but I was only kidding with them. Like, folks, now if you're smart, you'll pay one of us or both of us, honestly. I'm serious. There are a lot of folks out there. I'm not going to soapbox it, but there are a lot of folks out there. Heck, your program that you like and all the bells and whistles. If you're smart, you will pay to know us, because being somewhere where we are in real time is the only way to really get close to us anyway, to talk like this, to talk like we're talking. People paid to be here. That's it. But if you only want to get free friends, you're going to get free attitudes. That's what's going to happen. And it'll leak all over you, and we don't want that.
Man.
Probably just have one more and then I'll.
This is good. Though.
This is really good.
This is like
I appreciate
an
this.
exercise.
It is. It's
like
really skill sharpening for sure.
For sure, man. For sure.
Really quick. It's funny because years ago we talked about doing like actually during the pandemic. We talked about what were they calling them? It wasn't called battles.
Versus.
We talked about being versus. And I was like, nobody would battle us in versus. I don't care who your favorite speaker is. I don't care who they are. They couldn't do this. Most, okay, I'll back up, because I don't know. Most could not do this.
Nah.
They could not go bar for back to back and not just quoting, but giving context. Nope. They wouldn't come anywhere near this table.
Couldn't do it.
Anyway, go ahead, bro.
Couldn't do it. I got a quote, man. I got to quote this. And I use this oftentimes when I'm giving trainings and the webinars. And people, whenever somebody comes to a free webinar or free training, they always want the how. Tell me how you did it right away, 1 minute in. And I ask them, the people that I get a chance to talk to on the side, I say, well, you know, before you make love, you just want to just jump right in? Like, isn't the experience better when you kind of coax it a little bit? You jump right in. When as soon as you get in the plane, you want to fly off? Like, there's some things that we have to talk to, and that's because people are stuck with the how-to. And I will say this until the day that I transition and pass on, but knowing how to do something is not a guarantee that you're going to do it. I know how to lose weight. I know how to. You eat less and move more. That's it. Everybody that's overweight knows that. But why don't they do it? Because they don't have big enough reasons why. And so if you want to accomplish anything, you have to create a big enough reason why. Because when the why is big enough, the how is inevitable and the what is irrelevant.
God, that was good. I got anything better than this. I finished how I was going to finish. That was good. That was good. Oh, you look way different.
It's not my CS.
No. Okay. You know, in relationships, it's funny because people will say, you know, never meet somebody you met at the, never date somebody you met at the club. Never date somebody you met at the club. And I always caution folks, it's like, why is that advice given? Usually it's because, oh, what's your name? Oh, okay. What's your name? Joe. Later, what's your name? Steve? Well, I don't know, Steve. Like, it's because of the way you met. It's not because of where you met them, depending on the place. It's because of how the interaction was. And so that just leads me to even talking about, you know, when I help local businesses, it's the same applies as far as people treat you how they meet you. And then you must teach people how to treat you. If people understand that in their businesses and the way they move in life, teach people how to treat you, because people will treat you how they meet you. If you meet someone and the relationship doesn't have any value, it doesn't have any substance, that is how it will carry on. If people go into your business and there is no expectation, there's a reason why people act a certain way at McDonald's and those same people act a different way at Chick-fil-A, or where they act out in Walmart but would never in a Target or in a Neiman Marcus, and the people who act up in those places gonna act up everywhere. But when you shape someone's mind about the expectation, not that they have of you, but how they have of themselves when they walk into your business, you're literally changing a life. There's a way that people will operate when they know you don't play that. There's a reason why our, you know, people we know don't come to us with mess, because they know that's not where we operate. And people not bring mess to your business if they know how you operate. So again, people will treat you how they meet you, but get really good at teaching people how to treat you.
That reminds me of this. That reminds me of people accept free, but people don't respect free. And as an entrepreneur, learning how to charge, and you can never charge your worth. That's a misnomer. You can never charge your worth because you're priceless. And I think if more people would raise their level of service, then people will pay them on the level of service versus I want you to pay me what I'm worth. No, I'm going to pay you what your level of service is, and not just because you're a certain hue or not because you have a certain degree or whatever. What is your level of service? And I think for newer entrepreneurs or people trying to get into a newer space, if you focus on raising your level of service first, primero, then you'll have a lot better chance of charging higher prices.
So along with service, there's a way that people need to communicate service. which leads me back to there's a difference between being a good talker and a great speaker. 99% of people just know how to talk. There's a difference between being a good talker and a great speaker. A good talker is just someone that's willing to say, I don't have a microphone. It's okay. I'll get in front of those people and embarrass myself. It doesn't matter. Or they ramble. I'm just up here. That's a good talker. Should someone really pay you? If you're you want $5,000, but you're just going to get up and talk in front of people? There's no expectation. You don't care enough to prepare yourself, but you want money for it. That's also why most people don't ask to be paid, because they secretly know they're not ready to be paid yet. And that's a problem about getting the proper coaching from the right places. But ultimately, a good talker and a great speaker live in two different universes. And here's just something to help people understand in context. I think they say 98% of people are afraid of public speaking. Okay? So that means there's 2% of people who don't mind getting in front public speaking. There 2% of people. You think 100% of those 2% of people are good or great? No. So out of the 2% of the people, there's a fraction of those who are even decent at what they do. That's why there's this false sense of ability and success in the speaking world, because not even a fraction of the people that you think are doing well are in the first place, because they lack the ability to present and speak at a high level. So if you're going to be a part of that 2%, you should also know that people like Odell and I exist in that 2% with you. And the room changes when you're in there and we walk in with you. Be a great speaker if you want to be paid and you want to be a professional, because there's no NBA team hiring the person at the YMCA to hoop. They wouldn't have to. And some good talkers are the YMCA player begging or pretending to be on an NBA team when they should be on someone's bench.
And that reminds me of this, man. And I want to say it in a way to respect the profession, but also to protect the profession.
Got it.
Motivational speaking is killing the personal development industry. It's killing the personal development industry, because you don't have to be the person that yells. You don't have to be the person that is the football coach, or the person that's cussing people out and all this stuff and doing that. One of my favorite speakers of all time, Jim Rohn, Emmanuel James Rohn. I'm just a farm boy from Idaho, but he was a personal development titan. People nowadays, what they do is they see their favorite pastor, or they see somebody who's just yelling and screaming. That is killing the personal development industry, because nobody wants to be yelled and screamed at for long. Here's what we need to do collectively. And if you're listening to this, watching this, or whatever, if you're in that realm, you need to take note of this. You need to teach people how to focus on one thing. Teach people how to focus on one thing. I hope you got that. Write that down if you didn't. Teach people how to focus on one thing, because the death of the destinies today is in the distractions. I think we got 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
5 minutes. 5 minutos.
Okay, so I'll just offer just a little bit even more to the yellers out there, to the speakers who are being coached to yell. It's unhealthy. I've been in audiences where people were just afraid not to clap. It's afraid not to clap. I don't even know of, and I've asked some psychiatrists, some psychologists, do you ever yell at patients when they're on the couch? I've been on some couches myself. There's no part of the human psyche that enjoys being yelled at, not the healthy part. So for those of you all who want to be good, who want to have a sustainable career, then use your voice to create vision and not destroy someone in their vulnerability. Okay? Use your voice to create vision, not destroy someone else in their vulnerability. that means you can meet someone where they're at and take. Now, that may be the only way you know how to talk, but unless you are independently wealthy or already famous, this approach will not create any longevity for your career. You don't have to believe me. Heck, I'll say we can mention who some people consider the absolute greats. And out of the absolute greats, present day, there's only one.
Mm-hmm.
We can, I say Wayne Dyer, you say Jim Rohn. Heck, Les Brown, passionate. I do not believe him to be a yeller. Tony Robbins. I think I said Wayne Dyer before.
Yep.
Eric Thomas, more present day. Like those are like Inky Johnson would be considered a Titan. This is obviously not including ourselves at the very top of that list. But there's only one person in that list. That would be Eric Thomas, that is really loud or is expressive and that people would consider to. Yep. My point is, that's one person. I'm sorry, Lisa Nichols. We can mention. My point is, it's difficult to sustain longevity yelling at people. You do not have to believe me unless you are independently wealthy or famous. Train yourself and be trained to be a professional speaker, because also people hire motivators for a moment. They hire speakers and facilitators and consultants throughout time.
So that's good. I think that's a wrap, man. I think we got more than enough. We got more than enough.
Thank you for enduring.
Excited to be going forward, man.
Yeah. Do you want to close out any particular? We just like it. Bye.
For sure.
The Expert Circle.